The Legend of Vox Machina is a 12-episode animated fantasy series currently streaming on Amazon Prime. It's a show about a band of dysfunctional characters going on adventures with that, and they eventually get tasked with slaying an encroaching evil that threatens the lands, and winds up getting into a bunch of different like wacky and kind of risque adventures along the way. So first off, this is based off of characters from a Critical Role. So I had not heard of Critical Role before this show, and so it was pretty interesting, kind of like just researching them and diving into who they are. And apparently this Critical Role was started by a bunch of like voice actors or just actors like in Hollywood that had a D&D game that was going on for like years. And I think the Critical Role thing started back in 2012, but it's probably been going on between them for years. And so they were able to take that game and like post it up on, like, they have a podcast on it, and they have they put the podcast on YouTube, and so you can kind of watch them go through their adventures, and you can like listen to their campaigns on podcasts. I kind of respect the hell out of it. Yeah, and so like researching who they are, there was a couple of names that stood out to me, that just jumped out to me. And if you play video games, that like you'll recognize these names too. Laura Bailey and Ashley Johnson. Ashley Johnson probably like really famous for voicing Ellie in the first Last of Us game, and Laura Bailey is famous for being in every damn thing. She's been in every video game and had a part in every cartoon that's been out in the past like 10-15 years, it seems like. Of course, they were able to pretty much get this off the ground because they are actors, and they have connects in the industry, of course. Like that, I believe all of it is based in LA, so I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy for them to kind of get this thing off the ground. But so in the actual show though, they have like a bunch of like special guest voices who just come in just to play like a bit part for like an episode or two, and it's really cool like who they dragged in here. You probably will recognize like a bunch of names when I read them off if you're into like movies, TV shows, and all that. People who have voices in here is Stephen Root, Gina Torres, Kelly Hu, Dominic Monaghan, Tony Hale, Cree Summer, my girl, Logic. Yes, the rapper, the rapper Logic had a voice in here. He was voicing like a random guard or something like that. And David Tennant played General Krieg. You cannot like not hear his voice, and like that's wait, hold on, that's David Tennant, isn't it? Because he does his Scottish accent, and his Scottish accent is just legendary. He's doing Scrooge McDuck and DuckTales now, but before all that, he's my second favorite Doctor Who character. I think if you listened or watched last week, you probably know who my favorite Doctor Who character is. It's Matt Smith. I love Matt Smith. Like my absolute favorite Doctor Who character. Hold on. I'm getting a migraine. I gotta put my gimmicks on. Well, not a migraine. I'm getting flashes or whatever. Yeah. And so all the guys in Critical Role. So these characters are based off of the campaign that they've been doing in their D&D game. So all of those guys are voicing, because they're voice actors, right? So I mean, duh, But so all of them are kind of voicing the characters here in the show. And so okay, so all right, let's get back into like the show actually. And so this has been going on since 2012 apparently, like their game or their campaign. I kind of couldn't tell because I was able to jump right into the show, just follow the characters from I guess this point on. Yeah, I'm not sure if the show is the very first campaign that they've played out already, and so they're just turning that into like an animated series and they're going from there, or if this is a campaign that they're just kind of doing for the show. I would imagine that it's probably based on the campaigns that they're already doing, and so they're just kind of transferring it over into like the animated show or into like a different medium. But all right, so who are these? Who is Vox Machina? They are pretty much a typical fantasy characters. There is Kayleith, who is the elf with the elf with the antlers and the staff. Percival Derola, he's kind of like a regular human kind of gunslinger. He's the guy on the end with the glasses and the pea shooter over there. Pike Trickfoot is a healer. The one kind of on the end here, she's kind of like the little person with the blonde hair. She's the healer. She used like healing magic or like white magic. Scanlan Shortholt, he's the bard here, like right at the front with the lute. He got that character. Grog is the giant tank of a character. You see him with the battle axe here. He kind of reminds me of Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy in a lot of ways. Like he's like a shade of green. He's got the body markings, like the face paint, and he's kind of like this very kind of flat and like non-ironic humor, with him. And the way he delivers it too, like the way his voice actor delivers it is very kind of like deadpan and kind of flat, and it's just everything reminds me of Drax, honestly. And then on the opposite end here are two elf siblings who are Vaxildon and Vaxalia. So what do I like about it? The animation is pretty good. It's really smooth. It's you can tell Amazon put a lot of production into this. They didn't skim on anything. Like, yeah, it's everything kind of like pops off of the screen, like the the body parts and animation and stuff like that is appropriately gruesome. On that note, this is a very adult show. This is like a very, very kind of adult show. Yeah, put the kiddies to bed before watching this. There's blood and there's boobs. So, just forewarned, you've been warned. And the story in this, the story is really good, actually. I got really into it. It started off as kind of like a kind of an intro thing, and they battle a dragon in here first off, but it's very much like the kickoff to kind of show like the characters, like what their powers are, and that to kind of build up like what kind of banter they have between each other. It was a really good kickoff, and then from there you kind of like they get ushered off into like what the true story is, or the true adventure that they get kind of enrolled into from the emperor, I guess you can call him in here. So I just kind of watched this because it looked like a fantasy show, and I was looking for like something fantasy to kind of watch in the review. Had not heard about Critical Role at all. Didn't know it was like an actual D&D game, but like just watching the show, I was just sitting there like, man, this guy has the feel of like a bunch of like bros kind of sitting around like doing like a D&D adventure, and like just to find out like that's exactly what this is was a trip. It was like, oh. It just kind of read like that to me, or just kind of played out like a D&D kind of adventure to me. And I think it was more like the kind of crass and juvenile humor and jokes and stuff like that. It's just kind of like, this kind of feels like a bunch of like just dudes, playing a game, kicking back a couple as they like go through their D&D read for the week or for the month or whatever, you know what I mean? What I don't like about it, well, okay, as I was just mentioning, like the humor in it, and it's, I don't know, man, it was so juvenile and just really kind of crass, it was, and I'm not a prude guy. I'm not just like, oh God, or nothing like that, it's just, it was just, I don't know, man. It's just, that was the one aspect that kind of didn't like gel with me for some reason. It seemed so like high schoolish. I think I'm just because I'm getting old, I think. But it was just one of the things. It was just like, okay, we can probably do without that. But it was mainly probably because of the Scanlan guy, that the dude in the front with the loot. Like oh my God, like that guy was. He was just annoying. He was really annoying. I could have done without that character in the show, honestly. And I don't know. So like this is like a whole fan base behind this. So he's probably like the most famous or popular character in the whole like Critical Role thing. I don't know, but it was just for me. God, like this guy. But he was funny. There was some parts of it where I was like, okay, that was pretty fun. That was kind of pretty funny. But for the overall, it was just like this guy. Oh my lord. And the only other thing was like Pike, the healer in this. She was basically like the get out of death free card. Like at the beginning, it was just kind of like, okay, does she have a limit? Because like somebody could be mortally wounded, and she'd be like, okay, don't worry, I got it. Yeah, okay, I got this. Don't worry about it. And it's like, wow, really? So it's just, you can just bring anybody back. She can heal anything, apparently. I did think it was pretty cool because they did address that at a certain point in the show where she couldn't do her powers anymore, and so there was a point where the crew had to go on this kind of other adventure, and she kind of held back and was just like, you know what, I'm not going to be able to contribute anything if I don't figure out why like my powers aren't working anymore. And so we kind of trailed off onto her own kind of like side story, and it was pretty cool. It was all right. It didn't really explain where her powers came from, or maybe I missed it. I could have missed it, but yeah, I don't. It still didn't kind of explain why she is kind of like God mode. She's like walking God mode in a video game, kind of. But yeah, I mean, those were like kind of like the only two kind of like nitpicks I could have for the show. Really good show overall. I really, really enjoyed it. I can't wait for the next season to come out. And I'm gonna start checking out like Critical Role. I was like watching a couple of videos just kind of like getting ready for the review. And yeah, I'm gonna subscribe to the pod, and I'm gonna start watching their video. The only thing is they have like 4-hour episodes. Do they have the clip notes? Hopefully they have the clip notes. But no, I'm happy I kind of stumbled onto the Critical Role part of it. I'm happy to have an anime too, and yeah, I'm a fan. I'm going to start checking them out. For a rating, yeah, this is a 4 out of 5 for me. Like I can't wait for the second season. I can't wait to start listening to like Critical Role on the way to work and things like that. And yeah, it was pretty solid show. I really enjoyed it. 4 out of 5. Yep.